Lou Gramm tells us why he returned to Foreigner. Now remember, he's not in Foreigner anymore, but there was a point where he left and came back. I know a lot of you have been asking about helping the channel. There is now a link to PayPal where you can donate to Rock History Music. It's at the very top of the description of every single video. Thanks. Here's Lou Gramm. So why did you come back? Why did you come back for the when in the last few years you came back?
Well, I came back after that because I got reports from friends of mine who went out and heard Foreigner with the new singer that it was bad. That he was not a great singer live, and his voice didn't hold up after a couple, 2 or 3 shows. He was going on stage he was hoarse and couldn't hit many of the notes at all, even in the regular part of the song, and that in a lot of situations, like I had a couple friends who heard them in Las Vegas. At the end of songs, they were being booed, or the song would end and there was no clapping, no cheering. It would just end and there'd be a sick silence until they started the next song. And so after I finished my second album and toured to support it a little bit, I was still, even though I wasn't part of the band, I was still loyal to Foreigner. And I didn't want to see what I had participated, what we had built, go to hell. So I talked to Mick and told him that I had accomplished what I set out to do with my solo albums, and that's all I wanted to do. And is there a chance I could be part of Foreigner again? And we met in Los Angeles during the LA riots, and people were there was martial law. People were off the streets. They were confined to their homes or their hotels, and we went between his hotel room and my hotel room and talked about 6 or 7 hours a day for 3 or 4 days. And at the end of that, we had a reasonable understanding. I told him I wanted more input in the songwriting. I wanted to be a force in the direction of this band. I've been, other than him, I've been a big part of the creative process of this band, and I deserved to have a little more input and fealty in where the band goes. And I got that out of him. He agreed, and so, excuse me, the next couple of years, we just toured and wrote songs, and by then Atlantic was going through a lot of inner turmoil. All the people that helped to make Foreigner either were retired or were pushed out of their position and replaced by up and coming young kids, basically, kids in their early 20s, mid 20s, who had very little experience for the position they held. And their intent was to get new blood in Atlantic. And they went out signing grunge bands and all sorts of different variety of different new music bands. And they literally pushed the old guard off to the side. And we asked for our release. We knew that as much as they helped us throughout our career, that they were done helping us. We were dead meat to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we were looking around for a new label. We knew that there were a couple new big labels that were starting up that had a slew of classic rock acts, and we were playing them demos of our new songs and talked to them about being a part of the label. And I don't know the reason, but either we weren't enamored with them or they weren't enamored with us.
Mm.
And we couldn't find an established label to go on, because what Atlantic was doing, they were all doing with the new acts, you know. So we ended up signing with an independent label on the West Coast, a guy with a lot of money, and swore that his label was gonna have new acts and classic rock acts, and not just let the classic rock acts wallow in their former glories, but he wanted new material and a new lease on their professional life. And that sounded great to us. So we signed, I think it was called Rhythm Safari. They had a couple new acts that did very well for them. So we recorded.
Oh, Mr. Moonlight.
Mr. Moonlight.
Yeah.
We recorded most of that in Woodstock, New York. And it really turned out great. The songs were fantastic. I had a bigger hand in the songwriting. I was given some room in the production to influence it. It was a, for the most part, it was a stripped down rock album, heavily influenced by the Beatles. And the songs were terrific. And the last two or three songs, there was actually a ballad that I love on that album, you know, that I wish would have been a single. And there were some real heavy songs. There was an instrumental on it. And as it turned out, Rhythm Safari had big dreams, but what they didn't have is a promotional department.
Mm. Kind of important.
And we thought they did, because they bragged about that too. But when it came right down to it, we weren't seeing records in the stores. We weren't getting radio airplay unless we took the album to a station and did an interview and let them play 3 or 4 of our old songs. Then they would play about half of one of the new songs and fade it out. Thanks, Lou and Mick, for coming by. And you never heard a song from them again. Mm-hmm. In the new album. So basically, an album that I would put right up with, not with 4 or maybe Double Vision, but it was a damn good album, and it really, I felt that it was one of our better albums. It never saw the light of day.
You know, a few people, by the way, had mentioned, I asked the fans again, I got a few questions for them, and that album came up an awful lot. Fans wanted to let you know that they really liked that album. They really did. And I did have it. I remember now. I did have that album. Yes. Hey, thanks for watching. And remember, make sure you like our videos. We really pay attention to that. It helps the videos perform better. Subscribe to our channel. We're reaching 100,000 real soon. And by all means, share our videos on groups or on your Facebook page or on your Twitter. And of course, we read all the comments. And I know a lot of you have been asking how you could help the channel. If you want to donate, we now have a PayPal link. It's at the very top of the description of every video, including this one. And we thank you in advance. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Music. More from Lou Gramm in just a few days.